Welcome back everyone for another week of BP Kids Online. We're so glad that you're able to join us again this weekend. Hopefully you've been able to tune in over the last couple of weeks as we've been going through our series called Brave. We've been talking about people who had to have courage and trust in God all throughout the month. This week, we're going to be talking about how God has a plan for our lives. As we continue in our story about Esther that we started last weekend, we're going to learn about how God had a plan for Esther's life all along. And even through the difficult situation that she was going through, God was going to use it for good.
Hey guys, so today's memory verse is Isaiah 41:10. Are you ready? We're going to read it together. It says this: "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." I love this verse because it reminds me that my God is always with me and He will provide the help that I need exactly when I need it. So don't be afraid.
Hey guys, our big idea today is that God has a plan for us. Even though you may be unsure or scared of a certain situation and you don't know what's happening, just know that God has a plan for you and He's always there to guide you. Just like Esther, where she was put into a scary situation where she didn't know exactly what she had to do, but God helped guide her, and in the end she ended up freeing her people. So just know that even if you ever find yourself in a situation that you might be unsure of, just know that God has a plan for you and He'll always be there to help guide you.
What does a hero look like to you?
He looks like this. Very good. Well, they have a cape on their back and cool clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And superpowers. Is strong.
Yeah.
Strong and knowledge powers. Brave. Strong. Robin.
A hero means to me somebody that can be a role model and that show us that anything's possible.
The hero looks like someone who tells us about God and saves people.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Let's see.
Iron Man.
Superman. Batgirl. Supergirl.
Supergirl.
Wonder Woman. Robin. Wonder Woman.
Batgirl.
I'm just finishing up our story about Esther that we started learning about last week. And I'm going to start in verse 3. I'm just going to summarize it. So basically, in verse 3, it's talking about how Haman, the bad guy of the story, is plotting against the Jews to have them killed. He noticed that Esther's cousin, Mordecai, refused to bow down to him multiple times. So this made Haman very angry. So he went to King Xerxes and he asked him to put out a decree to have all the Jewish people killed because they had practices and beliefs that were different from the Persians. So King Xerxes agreed. So Mordecai heard about Haman's decree, and this made him very scared. So he went to Esther to beg her to speak to the king about removing the decree. Esther was very scared about this at first. She was worried that because if she would go to the king without being called, she might get killed herself. So she asked her people, to pray for her and to fast while she had to do the scary thing. So one day Esther went to the king. Rather than asking him up front, she was a little scared. She decided to ask him to throw a feast for her. And then at that feast, that's where she planned to ask him to remove the decree. So at the feast, Esther summed up the courage after 3 tries to finally talk to the king. She went up to him and she told him, "I'm a Jew myself, and if you kill the Jewish people, you'll have to kill me too." But the king loved Esther so much that he didn't want to kill her. He didn't want to kill any of her people. So he decided that he was going to get rid of the decree, and he decided that he was also going to get rid of Haman for making that law in the first place. So Esther did it. She freed her people. So in chapter 8, verse 5 to 17, it says this. That same day, King Xerxes gave Queen Esther everything Haman had owned. Haman had been the enemy of the Jews. Esther had told the king that Mordecai was her cousin. So Mordecai came to see the king. The king took his ring off. It had his royal mark on it. He had taken it back from Haman. Now he gave it to Mordecai, and Esther put Mordecai in charge of everything Haman had owned. Esther made another appeal to the king. She fell at his feet and wept. She begged him to put an end to the evil plan of Haman, the Agagite. He had decided to kill the Jews. The king reached out his gold scepter toward Esther. She got up and stood in front of him. She said, King Xerxes, I hope you will think what I'm asking is the right thing to do. I hope you are pleased with me. If you are, and if it pleases you, let an order be written. Let it take the place of the messages Haman wrote. Haman was the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. He planned to kill the Jews. He wrote orders to destroy us all in all your territories. I couldn't stand by and see the horrible trouble that would follow my people. I couldn't stand to see my family destroyed. King Xerxes gave a reply to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew. He said, Haman attacked the Jews, so I've given Esther everything he owned. My men have stuck a pole through his dead body, and they set it up where everyone can see it. Now write another order in my name. Do it for the benefit of the Jews. Do what seems best to you. Stamp the order with my royal mark. Nothing that is written in my name and stamped with my mark can ever be changed. Right away the king sent for the royal secretaries. It was the 23rd day of the 3rd month. That was the month of Sivan. They wrote down all Mordecai's orders to the Jews. They also wrote them to the royal officials, the governors, and the nobles of the 127 territories in his kingdom. The territories reached from India all the way to Kush. The orders were written down in the writing of each territory. They were written in the language of each nation. They were also written to the Jews in their own writing and their own language. Mordecai wrote the orders in the name of King Xerxes. He stamped them with the king's royal mark. He sent them by messengers on horseback. They rode fast horses that were raised just for the king. The Jews in every city could now gather together and fight for their lives. The king's order gave them that right. But suppose soldiers from any nation or territory attacked them, their women or their children, and the Jews could destroy, kill, and wipe out those soldiers. They could also take the goods that belonged to their enemies. A day was appointed for the Jews to do that in all the king's territories. It was the 13th day of the 12th month. That was the month of Adar. A copy of the order was sent out as law in every territory. It was announced to the people of every nation, so the Jews would be ready on that day. They could pay back their enemies. The messengers rode on the royal horses. They raced along. That's what the king commanded them to do. The order was also sent out in the fort of Susa. Mordecai left the king and went on his way. Mordecai was wearing royal clothes when he went. They were blue and white, and he was also wearing a large gold crown. And he was wearing a purple coat. It was made out of his fine linen. The city of Susa celebrated with great joy. The Jews were filled with joy and happiness. They were very glad because now they were being honored. They celebrated and enjoyed good food. They were glad and full of joy. That was true everywhere the king's order came. It was true in every territory and every city. Many people from other nations announced that they had become Jews. That's because they were so afraid of the Jews. So Esther was a hero. She freed the Jewish people with God's help. God had a plan for Esther, and he put her in the right place at the right time so that she could free her people for good. So this reminds me of our big idea today, which is that God has a plan for us all. Even though you might be uncertain of certain situations, or if you're worried about the situations that you find yourself in, just know that God has a plan for you and that he's always going to be there to help guide you.
Hey there! So today I'm just driving and trying to get to church right now. And honestly, I'm a little lost, I'm not gonna lie. You see this GPS right here? You've probably seen one of these in your own car before. A GPS is basically a thing that tells you where you're going and where you are at all times. It's very useful when you're driving. I really like using it because it tells me exactly where I need to go and how I'm going to get there. Sometimes when I look at my GPS, it reminds me about God's Word and about God in general, because sometimes when I don't have a plan for my life and I'm very confused, I can always be remembered that God has a plan for my life. I might not always have the right direction when I'm driving, and I might not always have the right direction in my life. But just like how the GPS can tell me where I need to go, God will always tell me where I need to go, and He'll give me a direction, a focus, and a purpose in life that I know that I can follow, because God has a plan for us.
God created Esther, and He knew her so well. And He loved her, even though she lost her mom and dad when she was a really little girl. When you think about your life, you're going to go through different times and seasons in your life where you wonder, what is God doing? Why did God let that happen to me? That's not even fair. Esther went through a lot of things that weren't fair, that weren't fun, and yet God had a plan and purpose for Esther's life because He loved her very much, and He had a plan for her. Just like Esther, God has a plan for you, for your life, for your future, for what it's going to be, and even for tomorrow. Trust Him today. Trust that God has a plan for you, that He loves you, that He cares for you.
I used to be on the online, but now I'm at church because I really missed it. I'm now here in the camp.
Are you excited to be back?
Yes!
Well, we're so glad that you're able to join us again this week for another week of BP Kids Online, where we talked about how God has a plan for our lives. As we went through the stories over the past month of David and of Esther, we can remember that God truly does have a plan for us, and He can use us for extraordinary things. Don't forget to get your parents to stay tuned in their emails, because we have some awesome stuff happening over the next couple of weeks. Also, we are back in the building for Kids Church. We would love to see you here. Don't forget that you can pre-register for church online, and we'd love to see you next time.